Hello, everyone. This is Tina from Tina's Workshop, and today is August 22nd. It's a Friday. Again, I'm recording on the same day my video is going up. This is episode 69. Yep. And it's currently 75 degrees, but it's supposed to get up to around somewhere around 100 again today. It got up to 102 yesterday. Perfect weather for fires. So yeah, we have a fire raging near us. We haven't had a big one though in a couple years. We had 2015, I think it was when we had the huge firestorm that went through, and there's still rebuilding going on from that. And it came to about maybe a mile from here. And actually, I had friends that lost homes about a mile away from here. And we've had a number of fires that have gone through since then. And I think in the aftermath of all this, our preparedness for that has gotten a lot better. So we have been able to, it seems like we've been able to handle the fires much quicker and more efficiently. Though when that one came through, it came through in the middle of the night and the wind was so fast and everything else, it just swept through. And I mean, people didn't have time to get out of their homes. So, but there was a bit of wind yesterday, so it was kicking up. And the last time I checked on it, it started yesterday evening. And the last time I checked, it was at 2,100 and something acres, I think. Let's see if they updated it recently, because that was actually the numbers at like midnight last night. It's called the Picket Fire. Yeah, they haven't updated the acres. 2,133 acres, and that was as of midnight last night. So I know the acreage is going to be bigger. It's still 0% containment. So yeah, but it's our first big one for this year, which we do tend to, in this area, we tend to get them more towards the fall. And at the moment, it's blowing away. So our skies are clear here. We don't have the smoky skies that you tend to get. We've gone through all that before and had the orange sun and everything else. So the moment we're doing okay. Had to pause it. My son was calling me. He was FaceTiming me. He is actually over within a few miles of the fire right now. Both of my boys and my husband are working over there, and so he was FaceTiming me to show me all the smoke because it's all where they are. He's like, Mom, I'm going to have a major headache when I get home because they are right there in it. And actually, one of his like best friends is actually working on that fire right now. He's a firefighter and he got called into it. He grew up here, but he is now stationed about 4 hours away. And he'd come home for the weekend to visit with his family and everything. Had just gotten back when this fire happened, and he had to turn around and drive back down here. So he had an 8-hour drive going back and forth. So yeah, it's always interesting, right? I'm just hoping that and I don't know yet. From what I've seen, I don't think any structures have been threatened yet. So hopefully, I mean, all the evacuation orders have gone out. Hopefully it stays more in the wooded area and people don't end up losing homes. I mean, hopefully they get it out soon. Obviously, I don't want the animals to lose their homes and stuff too, but I'm, hoping for as little destruction as possible. We've had such a boom in the homeless situation and stuff here since the firestorm, because there was a lot of people who lost their homes and then turned around, and because they no longer had their home, but they had homes that they rented out, then those people got kicked out so that they would have a home to be in. Well, there was no buffer for these people that were getting kicked out. Insurance and stuff's not going to cover the fact that you just got kicked out of your home. So it just created this huge boom in homeless because there was nowhere for these people to go to, because all of these ones had already taken all the homes. So we've had a lot of building going on, trying to increase the housing and stuff here to try and help with that homeless population. So that's one of the big worries too, is when all these homes start going and increasing homeless. And I mean, I'm totally not talking about making all the things right now, right? So anyway, I thought life stuff's supposed to be at the end of this thing, not the beginning. Yeah, we're making things. So I honestly don't have a whole lot this week. I did finish the Washington hat. Oh, I'm sitting on my foot and it's going to sleep. Okay, let's see here. Washington hat. This one was one of the more challenging Nancy Bates hats, but it came out really nice in the end. So here's the hat. This one has a lot of duplicate stitching. And instead of doing all that duplicate stitching, I opted to hold up to 4 different colors and work them. So I actually only did a very little bit of duplicate stitching right up here at the very top. I had a couple stitches that I slipped at the very top, just so that I didn't have to do all that duplicate stitching. And then there's my little Bigfoot. That sounded funny, my little Bigfoot. Hold on, let's see if I can get some more light on him here so you can see him better. There we go. There's my Bigfoot. He gave me some trouble too, and I ended up, he kept looking worse and worse and worse as I kept adding to him, and I finally cut it all out and started over, and he looks much better now. But you can see my floats, how many strands I was carrying, like 4 all through here. I was carrying 3 here, so carrying 2, carrying 3, carrying 4, and then finally dropping to 2 here and just having the 1 to finish. So this section here is going to be a very warm section of the hat. And as I worked it, I was really worried the hat was going to end up being too tight. Even though I was pulling my floats like I needed to, I was really worried I was pulling them too tight. So anyway, it's done. I think it's really pretty. I'm glad I did it, but I'm also glad it's done. So I just was like, okay, I'm working on this one till I'm done with it. So I actually, let's see, grab my booklet here. So I had started it on, July 3rd, but then I put it down. And I did not pick it up again until August 10th. And then I finished it a week later on August 16th. So it took a little bit longer than some of the other ones. It usually takes me, it seems like, around 3, maybe 4 days to do one of her hats. This one did take me a little longer. I mean, I wasn't working on it all the time, but because these colors are so dark, and these colors are very similar to each other here, I once I started working multiple colors, I stayed right here. I worked right here on it because I needed that extra light. Why is it people always call? Always, right when you're recording. You have like no calls all day, but a whole bunch right when you're recording. So, okay, so using the dark threads. So I sat here where I had all these extra lights I could turn on, and I didn't do it watching TV or anything else. I just would sit here doing it. So I think that's part of the reason why it took me longer, was having that chance to just sit here and only work on it. Um, I even if I was playing something, a video to watch, it was usually something I could kind of listen to as background noise, but not have to fully pay attention to, because I had to be watching where these stitches were. And there was multiple times that I had to pull stitches out. And there's sometimes in some of the patterns where if you know, mess up on that one side, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But this one, where you had these straight lines of the trees, every time I messed up on one, I tinked back out and went again. So I had that happen a few times, that I had to redo parts. But that one is done, and I do like how it came out. So it gets to add to the stack of hats that I will possibly never wear. And then I have been working on some little mini chickens finally. And it's kind of sad, the reason that I finally got my butt in gear to do them. So let's see if I can hold these the same way she did. I'm going to put a picture up here of the 3 chickens that I was trying to replicate in miniature knitted form. And let's see, focus on them. They're my little mini chickens. Aren't they cute? So let's see if I get a picture up over here with them next to it. So this one is, her name is Mia. And I was using yarn from, that I had made a muscle bore hat for my son from Weird Sisters on that one. Come on. I know they're tiny, but focus, please. And Mia has a very big comb, and her wattle's very big. As she got older, I was like, oh my gosh, you have a rooster. But she wasn't. She is a chicken, but is so big. I mean, it's rooster like, but she definitely lays eggs. So, and what's fun is each one of them have a different shade to their egg. There's a white one, a light beige, and a regular beige. So anyway, so that one is Mia. And then this one is Olivia. And Olivia has a very, very tiny comb and an itty bitty little bit of a wattle on her. And she is this beautiful orange color. And she was supposed to be the chattiest of the 3 when they got them. And she was a very chatty little baby, but she's probably the quietest of the 3 now. It's really kind of funny. And then, oh, and if you don't know what I'm talking about as to who these 3 are, if you've been here a while, you may have known. My neighbors have these 3 chickens, and they are their pets, and they have their little girl's 10, and it's partially because of her that I started making other chickens. I asked her to help me one time decide my video, and she had wanted a little crocheted chicken. So I have made her a few different chickens along the way. So this one is Petunia, and Petunia has a small comb, but she has a lot of red around her face. I didn't put too much on this because I thought it would just be too distracting to have this giant red thing, but she has a lot of red around her face, and she has like a very marled look to her, and super, super little fluffy feet. So I tried to make her feet a little bit fluffier. You know, it's hard when you're doing something so tiny. Um, but I was making these for her birthday. I'd made her that little cardigan and I was making these. And I've been busy with different things and I just haven't gotten these done. And I decided I needed to get these done because when I finished these 2 days ago, or when I started this 2 days ago, was because she came home from school. Her mom asked her to go check on the chickens because we've had 100-degree weather. And she went out and she found Petunia dead in her coop. And we do not think it was the heat. They are in a they're in a cool shaded area that part of their where their coop and their run is at is always shaded. They have a really nice coop and airflow. They get to go out and run around. They have water and everything else. And the other one too were totally fine, but she was found in the coop, and we there's of course there's cats in the neighborhood and there's a raccoon and stuff like that, but she had no damage to her, so we don't really know what happened. But what was so sad was that she had found her, and a lot of times she's not the one that goes out and checks right then either. So I was like, okay, I really need to finish these little chickens for her. And then I asked her mom, I said, do you think this would be, you know, good for her or make it worse? And she says, no, I think she would really like that right now. So I got her finished these this morning, her 3 little chickens. So she'll have all 3 that look just like hers, or as alike as little knitted chickens can. And then what I was sitting here crocheting on as I started this, this was some yarn that was dyed by the cat lady with 2 T's. I am making a little square to sew up to make a little envelope that these guys can go into. The designer had an image, and I'll try to remember to put it up, but the designer had an image of the little chickens in a little envelope, and I thought, oh, I could maybe do that for her too. So that's what this is potentially going to be. But I will give these to her when she gets home from school today. So my little chickens, I think they're very cute. I am very happy with how they came out. So and they do have little wings on them. You can probably see them best on her because of the coloring of the yarn. But their wings and their feet are all one piece. And the chicken's feet, these 3, they are pretty much the same color as the rest of them. And in the pattern, they had done the wings feet piece in a coordinating color so that you could see them a little bit better. But the fact that I was actually trying to replicate these specific chickens, I didn't want to go with a different color. I wanted it to be the same color because their wings are the same color. And since their wings and the feet are all one piece of yarn, I was like, okay, was looking at the pictures and I'm like, their feet are basically the only one that is a little bit different is Olivia. Her feet, actually, her legs are orange and then her feet have a little bit of gray to them. But I was like, okay, for this little mini thing, I'm just going to leave her feet, the whole thing, the same color. So anyway, those are the little mini chickens. The pattern is by Maria Nikolina. She's a Russian designer, and I will link her Etsy shop because she is not on Ravelry. If she is, I have not found her yet. But these are cute little patterns. There was a couple things I had as I was working the pattern that I noticed where, and one, you do have to pay attention to the abbreviations because her abbreviations were a little bit different than what we are normally in America and stuff used to. I figured it out and I was like, okay, she's meaning her LL1 was like a make one left and her RL1 was a make one right. And once I figured that out, then I was like, okay, this makes more sense. And I actually went back and just scratched it out and put my own abbreviation. So as I was going through it, it made it a lot easier as I was reading it. But there was a couple times where there was something and I gave you this list of what you were working, and then it said work to the end of the row, and you'll end up with like your 15 stitches or whatever. But there would be like 3 stitches that weren't accounted for in that list of things you were doing. But as I worked it, I was like, okay, you do need to go to the end of those stitches, and then it's going to all work out fine. So I did, after the first one I did, I went and wrote those little notes in too, so that I would remember when I came back the next time to do that. So pretty much just kind of gotta, pay attention to that as you go. But it's a pretty quick little one. You've got 7 short rows and you're only working with 15 stitches. So those short rows are very short. So you have 7 short rows, and then not counting the short rows, you have a total of 16 rounds. So that part is very quick. And then you just go in and add all the little extras. So it is a fun little project. Everything is stitched. So, you could, a child could play with this and nothing's going to come off because all the pieces have been stitched on and they're all relatively simple. So anyway, okay. Enough about that. And that is actually my only finished object, because I finished the Washington hat and I started a new project and I was really, really enjoying it. So I was mostly just working on that. And then I started the chickens. I'm like, okay, I need to do this. So I worked on the chickens, set everything else aside, and just worked on that. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I have certain things that, I might sit and watch TV while I'm doing, or this or that. But I sometimes I get in that groove of something that I need to get it finished for something specific, or I just am really into it and I want to keep working it. So works in progress, I don't have a lot. I did a tiny bit on my vanilla socks, so I'm not even pulling them out. We went and saw 2 movies in the movie theater. We saw the new Naked Gun movie and Nobody 2. And I did work on them in there, and I started the socks working on them in the Naked Gun one, and then I messed up on a stitch, and I'm like, okay, it's getting set down till I have light to work on it. And I was glad I did, because I had messed up on one stitch. And then I started to work on it a little bit during Nobody 2, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just very action packed and I don't want to take the chance of dropping another stitch, so I set it down. So I didn't do that much. I've been working on my Queen's Inns lace yarn, and let me see if I can turn the camera so you can see, because it is still on the first bobbin. So it's still the first bobbin. I've been slowly working on it, trying to pick it up each day. And so hopefully when it's done, that's what the yarn is going to look like. Actually, it'll be a little tighter than that because this is what was sitting out here. But I finished one bat. I think that's all I've done so far, is one bat. Yeah. Yeah, I finished one bat. You don't need that close to my face. Nobody wants to see that close. So I got one bat done. I've got, how many more bats do I have? I've got quite a few bats that are all laying here. Let's see, 1, 2, is that 1? Yep, 3, I got 4 more bats here. Some are a little bit larger than others. So I'll see. I'm going to go ahead and fill the bobbins on this one, and then I've got the big bobbin that I'll ply with. So I haven't weighed anything out. So I will just go until I have this one filled, and then I will fill another one and then ply them together. I will say on this one, I had told you guys that I was not flicking like I have been doing with the other yellow. So actually we'll show you. I got some here. I have to drop something. I just dropped a whole bunch of somethings. So when I flick it, I get this really nice piece. All the little short bits are out and all the VMs out. And I take a whole bunch of this and then I run it through the carder, and it only has to go through the carder once to just put it all together. When I strictly pick it and fluff it, it's like this. So it's still got, like, if you see, let's see, can you see right here? There's a little piece of VM right there, and everything is kind of mismatched in different directions. You're still going to have little short bits because you've only been doing this and breaking the stuff up. And that's what I actually did, which this is actually, I picked this actually pretty clean, but that's what I did with that because it was not really, really dirty. So I just did all this with it and then ran it through the carder 3 times. Well, because I did that, I still have, even though I really picked at it, you can still see I've got VM here. And as you go, like here, right here, you can see that little white thing there? That's a little tiny short bit. That is a super little short thing. See that? And so those, as you're working them, will get right along your yarn and they don't work in, so you'll have this little nub there. So I keep having to stop so I can pull these little bits off and pull the little pieces of VM out. So I've got tweezers sitting here, and this is exactly why I like to flick it first before it goes into there. And I thought, because when I did that one Jacob, it came out really nice and I didn't have that much problem. And I was like, this didn't have that much VM, just going to do it this way. I'm kicking myself in the butt for that now because I'm having to pay more attention as I spin instead of just being able to spin. But now that it's at this point, that would be way too hard to try and go through and flick it all and then do it all again. It's easier to just go ahead and spin it. But yeah, I should have listened to my own brain or something. I don't know. Anyway, so that's as far as I've gotten on that one. It was funny though, because I was just watching Ming Wolden Yente. You've heard me talk about her before, another YouTuber, and she does a lot of natural dyeing too. And so Queen Anne's lace is also called Wild Carrot. And she just had a video come out this week, like a day or two ago. And she's been trying to do a green color, which, hello, would be awesome too. But the first one that she was using in that episode was the Wild Carrot, which is Queen Anne's lace. So it's funny that she was dyeing, and she's in Belgium, I think. So she's dyeing with the same plant that I was just dyeing with there, so it was interesting. But she was doing an iron mordant to change the color. And I have not played really much with iron yet. So if you are not familiar with the natural dyeing and stuff like that, there's different mordants, and some of them are a modifier. So like the iron's a modifier, not really a mordant. It's a modifier because it will modify the color. And you can do a copper modifier, you can do iron, and there's a couple other ones. And they will adjust those colors in different ways. So she was using the she uses iron probably most of the time, and that one's the yarrow, which is, did she do, she did two different ones. It might have been yarrow, might have been the other one she was trying to do to get the green. But there we go, there's the Queen Anne's lace or the carrot. And you can see here these different colors. So the one I did, it came out the very light pale yellow, and she was trying to get this, so she was adding the iron in it so that it would change from this color to this one, and she got a little bit, and then I think it was the yarrow she did, was her other one, and did the same thing again, and she actually got a really nice green from that one. But so the different modifiers can adjust those colors and do different things. Sometimes vinegar is one that will adjust those colors. So anyway, I just found it interesting that she happened to be working on that same type of plant that I was right now, except that I left mine at the yellow and didn't try to adjust it any. Iron's one you have to be really careful with, because if you use too much iron or leave it in the iron for too long, it can actually break the fibers. So it makes me nervous playing with it too. So I haven't played with it that much yet. I haven't played with it at all yet. Tried to make an iron thing one time, but then I broke the glass jar it was in, and I haven't done it again. Okay, so only other work in progress I have is a new cast on, and it's one I actually have planned on working on this one for quite a few months now. I had caked it up, the needles were in here, everything was there. I'd already bought the pattern, it was all ready to go, I just hadn't worked on it yet. So when I was finishing the Washington hat and thinking about what I was going to work on next, I'm like, you know what, I don't need to start something totally new. This is already ready to go. I need to grab it and work on it. And I'm really glad I did, because it was a little tricky to begin with, but as soon as you get into the flow of it, it's been really nice. So this is the Octave Shawl by D. O'Keefe. And it has an 8-row repeat. So that's why I say it's a little tricky, because you're not, just working like a stitch repeat or something. It's a row repeat. But after you do get working it a while, it starts to kind of make a little bit more sense. So here is where I am at. And it's kind of curling a little bit. It'll straighten out when it gets blocked later. But when you're starting here and you're working this border, but then this is where you're increasing, and this is the same. It's a 2-row repeat basically, but most of the stitches are all just knit stitches. So this keeps increasing and increasing, and it's going to increase out until you have 52% of your yarn left. Then you're going to start, you've got a little center section, 8-row center section, and then you start decreasing back down to here. So it's a one skein. Now you could do it bigger. There's 3 different sizes in the pattern, so you could do it bigger. If you had a bigger skein or 2 skeins and you wanted to make it bigger, you could. But I thought it was nice where it was a 1 skein. And the yarn that I am using, very pretty yarn. And yes, it has pink in it, but it's offset with all these other colors, and I think it's really pretty. And it is by Comfort and Joy Yarn, which is a local yarn dyer. And the colorway is called Colorwork Number 1. But it is a sock fingering yarn, so it's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And it's 463 yards, 100 grams. So I'm going to weigh this as I get closer to where I'm thinking I'm around halfway, then I'll weigh it. And when I know it's 100 grams, so when I have 52%, which should be, if I'm mathing properly, would be 52 grams, I believe. So then I will start doing the other part. But it's a nice one. Oh, and my bag was actually made by a friend. Such a cute little bag. I love the little nesting dolls on it. But it's a fun one. And like I said, this part is pretty much all the same, except that I think it's like every 4 rows. Well, in that, it's probably like about every 4 rows, because in that 8-row repeat, you increase twice. So in every 8-row section, you increase by two stitches. And I think it's going to be really pretty. I first saw this, the Crazy Sock Lady had done one, and she was talking about how much she really enjoyed that pattern, and it was really beautiful when she'd worked it. And I was like, you know what, I want to try that. So that's what I did, and it is a very enjoyable knit, and I want to sit and work on it some more. Oh, and then I have these really fun stitch markers that another friend of mine made. I've shown you guys these before. She actually made them for a sale at church last year as a golf tally marker. And you've just got your clasp here. This is just embroidery floss, and it's got 10 beads, and this is tight enough that you can slide the beads and they stay, and you can count your rows. And I've been using these on the vanilla bean socks. I actually have 2 of them going when I do that, so that I can count my 4-row repeat, but also my 10-row increments. And so I stuck this one on here so that each time I do one of the rows, I can move it until I get to my 8, and then I just push them back up and start over. So if I set it down, I don't forget which row I'm on, or if I stop to talk to somebody, I don't forget which row I'm on. So it just sits right there, and it's really easy to just reach over and pull it down. Well, that's a really nice little, and it's not in my way while I'm working on the project. Like, you have some that are the little ones with the little chains. I have some of those, but that's dangling in your way as you're working, and that starts to aggravate me. So I like that, where I can just, because this is usually just sitting right in front of me, and I can just reach over and pull it down. So anyway, Octave Shawl by Dee O'Keefe. I highly recommend it. It's a really good pattern. And I started that Sunday, 17th. Same day I started spinning that fleece. So that is really all I have been working on this week. Let's see, look at my notes here. Yeah, I did take a little trip out to the Legacy, which is our secondhand craft store. And they had recently expanded, and now they've done a bunch of rearranging when I was out there this time, and it's really, really nice the way they have things set up. It was really easy to find things, and it's so much fun to go through that store, and you just never know what you're going to get. They had 2 of these out there, and I just picked up the smaller one. I almost picked them both up. I was like, I don't really need both of them, but these are those little ones that, you know, unsnap so you can store it flat or snap them shut and then put stuff into them like little chickens. And hello, $1.50, how could I not pick it up, right? So I had picked that up. I picked this up for a friend of mine, my friend Mary, and I had lunch with her yesterday and forgot to bring it with me. But they had a whole bunch of them, and they were only $2, and they're even packaged really nicely. And she likes the blues and teals, and she likes butterflies. And I thought that was just so cute. They had pinks and they had blues, So I didn't pick one up for myself because I was like, it's not really. Let me tell you, if they had had a green, I probably would have picked it up. You know, I talk about how much I like green, and yet you can see it right there. I like the green. But I got to thinking the other day, I'm talking with my son, and I'm like, I honestly don't own that much in clothing in green. I have very few things in my clothing that are green. I've got a couple flannels and a couple t-shirts and a jacket. Oh, and I have 2 pairs of lounge pants, and that's like it. Oh, and a green tank top. Okay, I know. O-N, but that's it. And of all the clothes I have, that's it. Okay, so I also, when I was out at Legacy, picked up a book, and the books are like, I think they're 75 cents. So, when you find a good book, you can't help but pick it up. And like this one was originally $30. So, and I paid 75 cents for it. It is Mason Dixon Knitting, The Curious Knitter's Guide, Stories, Patterns, Advice. It's got some fun stuff. Look at, you can see right here on the back. These are bibs, little felted boxes, bath rug, and it's a kind of a fun one to go through. Here they did the backs of jackets with knitting and stuff that was embroidered on. A bathrobe. How about that one? Bathrobe. So it was a fun one to go through. It had different random things that were different. And so I decided I needed that. But that's actually like all I have in the way of acquisitions. So I think I've done pretty good there too. Hubby is still working on looms, more looms. He's got, I think he's got 2 or 3 that are in process right now. Then when he completes them, he's got to work on more spindles, because right now we have about as many as we had last year at Lambtown, which we sold out of almost completely the first day. So I'm like, you've got to work on more spindles. And he says, yeah, I'm going to do that as soon as I'm done with these 2. So we'll have a few looms that will be there at Lambtown ready to sell. And then we can always take orders for more. And then he's going to get to work on some more spindles. So that is where he has been at. And, that is his hobby. So, when he's not working and exhausted from working, and everything is out in the garage right now, which is hot. So when it's 100 degrees outside, you only get so much done in the garage. But yeah, that's about it for us here this week. I can't really think of much of anything else. We've only crept up to 78 at the moment. But like I said, it's supposed to hit around 100, which is, right now it's just afternoon, and we usually hit our high, I think, like around 3 o'clock or something. My son and I, my youngest and I, we've been walking every night. We walk just over a mile because we live on a circle. And if we do 4 laps, it's just over a mile. So we've been doing that every night. And the last number of nights, we have been waiting for it to cool down enough to really go out and do it. And last night we walked at 10 o'clock at night. So we've had a number of times that we've been walking, and it's been after dark because it's just been too warm before then. We didn't feel like walking when it was 90. So, but we've been trying to make sure and do it every night. He doesn't really need to, but he got doing his fitness goals on his Apple Watch, and now he doesn't want to break his streak. but that's actually been good because it's been pushing me to do it, and I need to do it because I am tired of having to buy new clothes. I yeah, I'd like to be able to fit into the clothes that I already have and not need new ones. So, but yeah, I guess that's about it for this week. I hope you guys have stuck through to the end of the video. Let me know if you have. And I always I get at a loss right at the end. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, a great next week, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye.